Alright, dopey dope. Just finished a video. Let's freaking do this. Well, hello. This is Kel Decadence. You are listening slash tuning in slash watching whatever it is you're doing to get this into your ear holes slash eye holes. This is episode number 98. And if you are clever with math, not that common core shenanigans that you may be being taught in schools like California and I don't know, New York, that means we have two more episodes. One and then two makes it episode number 100. Counting down. Big dog. All right, so joining me tonight, I got a few guys. We've got, let's see, Chesser. Hello.
Yo, what's up, mate?
Chesser.
Could you not hear me?
I can't hear Chesser. Can I hear Duncan?
Hi, how's it going? I can hear both of you, by the way.
Oh, so Duncan can hear me?
Oh, I know what the problem is. My stupid headphones turn off after I've been silent for a few minutes. Maybe I should stop being silent. But I'm sure you said hello. Chester, did you say hello?
This is, I think, number 4. So yes, I did.
Oh, fuck yeah. We're professionals here.
Very.
Absolutely. Chester, who are you? What do you do in EVE Online? Why are you here?
I am the Prince of Reddit, pilot extraordinaire, high-tier master featherer, and I'm here because I got invited, and I think that's about it.
That is beautiful. Just beautiful. We'll get a little into it a little bit more about what you do in EVE, but Duncan, how are you tonight?
Good. How you guys?
Man, I'm doing all right. I'm just I've had a busy day, busy long day, busy weekend, trying to get my brain screwed on tightly. We'll see how that goes. But who are you and what do you do in EVE Online?
I used to play EVE. I'm a CEO of a dead corporation, but I guess I know a bit of stuff about tournaments, so here I am. Specifically,
Awesome.
Pride Warrior.
All right, cool. So, so if you haven't figured it out, past few weeks we've been talking about the Alliance tournaments. Naz Al Ghul in chat says everybody's super quiet, but I don't know. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Maybe your hearing needs to be checked. I know mine does. We'll see. But anyways, tonight we're going to be talking a little bit about some of the stuff that should have been happening tomorrow, which would have been the August 14th update, which has been now pushed to next week, next Tuesday. So it would have been today, but it's moved to next week, 21st of August. We're talking about the dramatic turn of events where CCP typically releases new gameplay or new updates with the release and pray method. They said, we apologize for the delay in deploying this release. However, we feel that additional testing is needed to ensure that Tranquility is patched without issue and the release is deployed smoothly. God, let's hope so. Now, so everybody else is quiet. I can turn people up manually.
Yeah, looking for comments about the slated release. I suppose it's good that CCP are at least making sure that they're releasing a product that aren't going to crash the servers again. But I mean, I'm going to be honest. A lot of I can't even remember a last release that was really like astronomically incredible. That like makes me excited about the game, or makes me like really excited about the game.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty lackadaisical. The tri ships were interesting in theory, although in typical CCP fashion, implemented poorly, with only one ship of the 3 really being usable. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, and some of those updates, I agree with you. Kind of lackluster, not a whole lot going on, but there might be some changes coming up soon. So what we're going to look forward to next week is a Navitas and Thalia redesign, Terra and Bustard redesign, Badger and Crane redesign, as well as NPE updates. There will be some changes to the new player experience. Not too certain what those are going to be. Hope they're good, maybe. And then, a few weeks back we had some improvements to missile effects, the way missiles performed on the system. This time it's going to be with lasers. Hence the title of Friggin' Lazers for this week's episode. So, hopefully, they'll do that, and then next week they'll change this, and then next week they'll change that, and then next week, they'll just make tweaks here and there to make it run more gooder. So maybe we're not sitting in 1% tie-dye. Maybe they should do some fighter revamp, huh?
I mean, they should do fighter revamp if they need to keep the lights on at CCP and all the happy crabs ratting around on their really OP carriers that can, one shot the NPC frigates.
Well, I mean, as far as performance goes.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, performance is always a big deal as well, but it'd be sweet if there was a way, just hypothetically, that you don't pile in 3,000 people onto one system and then just have a battle and get crushing lag like it's happened every single time.
Yeah. So the other thing that's going to happen, it will also be next week. They didn't push this one back, which is going to be the Secrets of the Abyss. Apparently, they're wanting more people to go into the Abyss because the Abyss is their cool little sites you can go explore. Their little quasi-dungeonish thing. So if you go there from the 21st of August and all the way to September 4th, you can explore an abyssal dead space for cerebral accelerators, triglavian skins, and mutaplasmids for ancillary modules, which are only going to be dropped during that event. So you will not find them outside of that event for now. So those are going to be pretty cool. So those mutaplasmids are dope. They're doing dope stuff. So maybe you'll get some super wicked mutaplasmided out ships coming from that event. Are you guys effing around with those mutaplasmids?
I mean, for sure, like the tournament was just filled with a lot of flagships that had like the best rolls possible on mutaplasma mods. And like they're nice to throw on like some high-end fits, but for the most part, just like trolling through the market looking for good fits is kind of difficult because the average person that rolls a mutaplasma mod has no idea what it's worth and they can't quantify it. So you just have to like go through um, like just piles and piles of garbage mods that are just overpriced because people think that they roll the mod and they're like, oh, that's 4 bill, regardless of what the stats are.
Did you guys roll some yourself, or did you just look for contracts?
Rolled self for sure, with on a few purple modules, so real spicy.
Wicked, awesome. All right, so another thing we thought, because many months ago, I'm pretty sure it was months ago, there was a little piece of information on updates.eveonline.com which said that we were going to be getting an activity tracker in summer, but wait, what happened? That moved all the way to fall 2018. A lot of stuff is moving, but we will talk about that kind of fun stuff later in the month, because all that's pushing out. We're talking September, fall, winter 2018/19, which of course could be all the way up until May 2019. Maybe that'll give CCP some time to discover this technology called 64-bit.
I mean, it's like reading through the show notes today and just reading up on the latest coming out of CCP. Like having played for a really long time. I've been playing this game for almost 10 years. It astounds me that the game community in general, or the e-community in general, is willing to accept so little and such a glacial pace on updates that CCP has been doing for many years now. What we get instead are these lovely little, like microtransaction-y things, like the new shipper models or the new ship skins, which don't really change the gameplay for anyone. And I would make the argument that EVE Online probably isn't going to see a huge uptick in players with more skins or redesigns of the ship. So, I mean, it really kind of points to what CCP is attempting to do with EVE.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, all these tweaks, changes. We should be looking at a 64-bit client. We should be looking at a lot of fun stuff that's going to be happening. Hopefully, we're going to find out a little more information here in the next few months, coming in October, for the EVE Vegas deal. So, I'm really looking forward to that. I should be there, just as an FYI. Can't make any promises, though, right now, because I actually just changed where I work. Can't really go into too much details, but I'm pretty much have taken a lot more responsibility on, so I don't know what's going to be happening in the next few months. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be at Vegas, and we'll get to see all the fun, cool-ass, dope, dank leaks,
As long as all that new responsibility came with a huge raise, then congratulations.
Oh, fuck no, not a single dime.
Oh my God.
No.
it's time to ask for one, my friend.
No, I know. I'm totally. I'm gonna go on strike. I think. Maybe not. I might get fired. Yeah, but I've been playing a little bit over the past few weeks. When I'm sitting here in front of my computer, I see a little ping come up with that from Pigeon says, "Hey, you schmucks, get into Fleet and do this and that." But I was not around on the 12th of August when there was an apparent another DDoS attack. You guys experience any of those technical difficulties due to the DDoS?
I've only been playing like basically for AT stuff, so I haven't really known the DDoS situation going on in TQ right now.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So essentially, what happened was, there's this huge DDoS attack. I'm assuming from what I read that it was generated or came from somewhere down in South America or Central America, maybe something like that. And the way they remedied the situation at the time that the DDoS was occurring is they banned a whole block of IP addresses. So what this did is this caused a little bit of issues with, people who are actually doing the right thing and just want to play EVE Online where they're at, but they're like, lo and behold, my IP address is banned because of some jack monkey doing DDoS attacks. So CCP did put out a little dev blog. I'll link that here in a second. It says, due to the recent DDoS attacks on TQ, CCP has issued a dev blog explaining how you can fix your login issues if you're affected. So one of the problems is, number one, they couldn't log in. Number two, they couldn't even get access to eveonline.com without going through like some sort of VPN. But their instructions are as follows. Acquire a new IP address from your provider. Outstanding. Simple, right? Just call your provider and say, hey, give me a new IP address. Unlikely, but maybe. Flush your DNS cache. And then they have a script you can download. Downloads like a little .exe file. Only Windows right now. Sorry, Mac and Linux losers. Nothing for you. Users. Nothing for you right now. So if you go to eve.com/support/network-diagnostics, you can download that little script. And if all else fails, you can email support@eveonline.com. Also, they are really, really sorry.
I'm not an IT expert by any means, but certainly you could just go through a VPN, not in South America, and then connect to EVE Online, the video game, correct?
Yeah, I've heard rumors of this.
Okay, so that would indeed change your IP. So I don't know. Like, I guess CCP is doing the only thing a business can do, really. Again, I'm not an expert in IT. So if you have a huge like DDoS going on from certain IPs from a certain region of the world, if you completely block all of it from like routing or networking, then it sounds pretty utilitarian to me. Like, yeah, it sucks, but
yeah, makes sense to me. As far as I can tell, that's what's going on. They're trying to fix it. Hey, we know they've been having some issues lately. I don't know what it is. There are some theories that this is coordinated, and that there's some alliances that maybe have their hand in this. I don't know. It seems a little far-fetched, but then again, this is EVE Online, and people take this shit really, really seriously, as we discussed a little bit before the show. A little too serious, maybe.
It's potential. But we can sit here and theory craft that forever. We have no proof, no idea, no information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it would be like really crazy for that to be the case.
All right. So as I continue to work the sound issue, don't worry. We will fix this. But if you, dear listeners / watchers, if you happen to be in the area of Atlanta on Saturday, August 18th, you can hook up with XGM Pyro, who is a CCP game master. He is leaving CCP, and he's giving away cool EVE swag at the usual old Atlanta meetup location in Decatur, Mac McGee's. I don't know if that's right, but that's what he put. Mac McGee's Irish Pub, around the corner from the old CCP office. He'll be around there at 7 p.m. on Saturday, and he's going to give away a lot of stuff. I'm going to link this because it actually has what he's giving away. It's like shot glasses, I think a t-shirt and some stuff like that. So if you want some swag, you live in Atlanta area, go meet up with this dude.
Chester, are you hearing anything?
I'm not either. No, I just want to make sure I'm not,
Am
I'm
I
not hearing
am I
anything.
pressing the fuck me in the
Yeah,
butthole?
no sound at all now.
Where did I leave off? Because I pressed the wrong buttons.
Twitch, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I think Twitch
Hello.
can hear us. Can't hear him.
All right.
Hello.
Oh, we can hear him now.
Where did I leave off?
Not sure. You.
But you were talking about Atlanta.
Damn.
Yeah, the GM who was like giving away swag.
Okay, yeah. So GM. Oh, where was I? I hate it that I have to switch buttons back and forth because the streaming software doesn't accept my usual hotkeys. So GM Pyro's leaving CCP, giving away cool swag. Did you catch the location? Decatur. Mac McGee's Irish Pub, around the corner from the old CCP office. Get around there about 7 p.m. Awesome. T-shirts, shot glasses, swag. Get it. All right. Did you catch any of that about the new Eden report?
I don't think so.
Okay, brilliant, perfect. We can just forget it ever happened, and we'll roll with it. So last week, I got in touch with some of the boys over there at the newedenreport.com, and we were talking about how we can kind of integrate some news stories. We can pull news from them. Maybe we can share some media stuff over there. Haven't quite worked out the details, but for now, I do have the 1900 news headlines. And they are as follows. So the Imperium has absconded with the French connection Fortizar and Asbel in the region of Pure Blind. That's interesting. Absconded. They've ran away with this Fortizar and Asbel. Next up, Imperium / FedUp forces engage the Northern Bloc over multiple TCUs and iHub timers in the 7X-X17 constellation yesterday evening, so that would have been Saturday evening, winning most of them. In this effort, Imperium / FedUp lost 3.99 billion ISK versus the Northern Bloc's 5.42 billion. Next up, Brothers of Tangra were decisively defeated by a joint Centipede Caliphate / Red Alliance force in 4-QDIX and Ethereum Reach. And between 1930 and 2021 Eve time in that system, Brothers of Tangra were pushed back by Centipede and Red Alliance. The total stands at 2.88 billion lost by Centipede and 48.95 billion lost by Brothers of Tangra. Yeah, 48 bilskis. What's going on with those guys? I know these are all major players so far that we've been talking about. They're in the Alliance tournament. So what are they? What kind of shenanigans and escapades are they running over there in Ethereum Reach?
I think you're asking the wrong guys because I don't give really a flying fuck about null politics for the most part, and I'm not sure if Duncan has kept up at all. Well, unless I'm wrong.
Nor do I. I don't. I honestly, I could give a shit less. But it's news. It's news, friends.
I cared when I played, but it's not that time.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what we should care about?
I'm sure some of your viewers, find it interesting. Just run through what's been going on. Keep going.
Yeah, so you know what we should care about? If some of you in the audience or listening at home or in any car, you might remember, oh God, I think it must have been February or March. We had a little individual by the name of Jay Mercady. He was running amok in our Discord for Mind Clash. He had released some personal in real life information about other players, to include Sword Dragon. He was getting very attacky, very spurgy, and caused a whole lot of drama. Apparently he's been like this quasi, I don't want to even call him a mastermind, a person of interest within the EVE Online meta for the past few years, and that kind of culminated in him throwing a hissy fit and saying he was going to quit, which we all assumed he did. Fast forward to just last week, and it turns out that this curator, the person known as TC, the curator in the 7th Estate, which the 7th Estate is Jin Tan's little coalition that he recently started. Apparently Jin and curator slash J. Mercady had been running and pulling some strings in the background of Seventh Estate, and it was brought to the attention of the rest of the coalition and the alliances, and they had a huge big deal out of it. So there was this SOTA, State of the Alliance, which came out. I can link that here, but pretty much J. Mercady and, from what I understand, Jintan have stepped down from the Seventh Estate. So whatever that means for the future of them, they say nothing's changed. They're just going to carry on like business as normal, just without them. We'll see. I don't really know what's going on there, but more to follow, I'm sure. Yes, pop the popcorn. Get it poppin'. I will.
This game doesn't need updates by CCP. You just have this stuff going on all the time, keeping everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, for real skis. So I linked that in the chat. MP3, about 45 minutes. You really just need to catch the first 10 minutes of it to really, even if you care, take a little listen. But it's interesting. We will follow up with that later. But now the reason that we have these gentlemen here is we want to be talking about not just the Alliance tournament, because I didn't watch this weekend except for 2 matches, so I can't really talk about that. But you guys, or at least, you guys watched and or participated in, so we can go a little bit about that, and then we'll cover some history of this. What is Hydra? What is Vidra? Aren't you the same people? Did you re-lol or reload? I don't know. But you guys got that covered, so we'll roll into that. So how about this weekend? What did we see that was crazy or fun?
Which matches did you watch?
Oh shit! Don't quiz me.
Come on, it was 2, right?
It was literally 2. I have no idea. I wrote notes. I don't know where I put the notes.
Well, Duncan, this is going to shock you, but I watched the Hydra matches.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, right? Shocking. The Vangals going down was enjoyable. I also watched, really enjoyed NC Dot losing. That was great.
Yeah.
Apparently, and this is going to shock our viewers, but a Flag, Lesh, and a Vindicator can beat a Navy Mega and was it another Mega in a Brawl? Shocking, I know, right? No, it was a Navy Mega and a Lesh in a Brawl.
Yeah, I mean, the battleships just, go to 0 and turn their stings on, and then eventually something happens.
Exactly.
Usually it's the support. Something happens there, and then with these battleships.
Yes. This may not always pertain to what exactly we're talking about, but Barcode, my alliance.
Oh.
I thought we had a really legit match against Fraternity. I thought that the flying and the team comp was really fun to do, and it was executed pretty cool, and I enjoyed that. But I'm slightly biased.
You guys have been fairly impressive after the first match. It was okay, well, these guys I don't know what's going on with them, but then just kept moving through.
Yeah, that shield fly killer round 1 really fucked us up. But actually, do you want to know what really fucked us up the most? So you may have seen that I boundary with my sacrilege.
Womp womp womp.
Yeah. But wait, it gets actually worse. It gets worse than that. So I boundary versus PL because I was too busy making a shit post on Reddit, and it was really unfortunate because we couldn't kill their Leshak faster because they were lacking my DPS, and because of that we lost our Flag Leshak, which sucked, but we still won the match. But it really came back to bite us when we had to fight Tuskers, and of course Tuskers just brought their Flag Leshak, and well, we don't have ours anymore, so you can imagine how that match went. And basically I'm the reason why the team lost, and I feel really bad. But yeah.
So let me paint the scene, if you will. So here you are. This is week number 3, day 6 or day 5. Is that Saturday or Sunday?
I'm pretty sure it was Saturday, although it just gets a little bit hazy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it happens, especially with all the alcohol, the cocaine, hookers, and all that. But so there you are. Most important thing happening in EVE Online, technically, and you're supposed to be focusing on your screen so you can press buttons, but you're on Reddit.
Well, uh, PL and and I go back a little ways. There are some of the members that I fly with daily that, how do I say this, stabbed us in the back and went to PL to fly with them instead of hanging with us. So beating them was really fun. And as we had basically won the match, and it was just cleanup crew after that. I tabbed over to my other screen and was going going to Reddit, and yeah,
Seems reasonable enough. Makes
yeah,
sense.
indeed.
I mean, you can't blame him, right? What's
No.
more important, Reddit or the match?
The match was won already. That's why I felt comfortable doing
Yeah,
it.
it was over. So
Fair enough.
It was literally just like click around, approach, and press guns at that point.
All right, so I figured out what I did watch. I watched Hydra versus Brightside, and I don't know which, but it was a Hydra versus Hydra match. I know there was several. Is that correct?
yeah, I actually like to talk about that one for a bit. The
Yeah.
Brightside match. Brightside did some really cool things that maybe people didn't pick up on. They had ECM bursts and damps, and no one's been bringing damps for a really long time. But with the ECM burst, how it works is basically they can lock out battleships because they burst them, they lose lock, they have to lock again. The damps make them take really long to lock, and so they're almost like jammed once they start rolling those bursts. So it's a pretty cool strategy. It worked well versus Laser Hawks because they're just immobile BS, and it works. It might have worked a little bit versus the triple BS cores, but I don't think Hydra was bringing it.
hmm Yeah, I mean the creativity as far as ship comps really had to been upped because of the fact that you can only bring one of each ship. So the wheels had to be really spinning on how you can completely maximize your strategy. And one thing that we have seen is these ECM comps and now damp comps. So it is interesting how we've shifted from year to year, and now here we are with this focus on T1 Logi and bombers. Sometimes they'll have four, one of each bomber. So it's just really interesting how the
I think the Logi evolution probably is one of the more interesting things that has happened this year, in my opinion. You're seeing a lot less T2 Logi, a lot less Atana, all that stuff. Not that there's many left, and Shield isn't really that good, but
yeah.
I think what's really looking at this is the point cost increase of like a Tech 2 Logi. You just lose so much, and as Duncan was talking about earlier, the triple BS core, but really the Leshak, really kind of changing what some parts of the meta are, and you saw a lot of teams fly it, honestly, or just small variations of.
Yeah, the Leshak basically controlled the entire meta. It's like so good that it's hard to justify doing things in Shields. There's still a few things that are possible in Shield, but they're very situational.
It's very situational and subpar to the Leshak. I mean, any team that knew what they were doing in the least had a flag Leshak without question. I mean, the ship, if you have no way to turn its gun off, or if you have if it catches something and can stay capped up, I mean, it's going to die. Like, it can do close to 3k DPS heated, so nothing can tank that.
Yeah, nothing really comes close to it for what it does and what it costs. And so
that's a good point.
Everything around that, and then building from there, and then you try to do other things, and then you put it.
It's a fucking Tech 1 battleship too. Exactly.
It's so between that and the single ship rule, it's changed things up. You can't do what you were able to do in the previous years in the same way anymore.
And let's not forget, like when it comes to control setups, like the damp ships and stuff like that, scripts aren't allowed. So I mean, it really is kind of like shoehorning the meta into this like big brawly kind of play style in the center. You know what I mean?
But on the other hand, it actually buffs control setups in the sense that usually they didn't have damage because they had so much control, and now it's just you can have a Leshak and then control, and you're good.
True. Leshak literally fixes everything, right?
Yeah, it fixes every comp.
So now, as far as you're talking about how your match with them had kind of set you up for, or had set them up, or set you up for the Tuskers, right?
The PL match.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of my fuck up. Like I'm like 90% of the reason why we lost.
So basically, Barcode went into the match against Tuskers without the ability to field the Leshak because it was easy for Tuskers to just ban it and not have to worry about it at all.
Yeah,
And
because
so
we didn't have a flag
right away,
Leshak.
right away they just go in with a huge disadvantage.
Tuskers, you know, they've won the AT before. They can execute actually. Like PL, not really known for their ability to pilot well. A few members on their team actually can, but few of them. But they're good at theorycraft. And then money with AT ships, of course, because they've won a few ATs in their time. But Tuskers, I mean, yeah, there was just like no chance. Like the second that we hit the grid, it was kind of like GG. And yeah, it feels pretty bad because I think that we had a good, like Wild Things really and Vordak are the two brains behind the operation in Barcode, not me. I more like, especially because of my RL situation going on right now, I don't have a lot of time to sit in theorycraft away. Basically, I'm just kind of like a piloting dude. And for me to fuck it up for both of them and all the hard work that they put in, like really sucks. Especially when, you know, you have like a lot of other people like, you know, Blood Ruin, Beatron, Bungo, and, you know, Cyclo, like some like really solid people and gods. And then you basically are the one that threw the run. Yeah.
Posting is life, right?
Yeah, it is. It has to be, dude. It was going to be amazing. It was going to be the most incredible post ever. But after I did that, I had to delete the post because I didn't feel good. It didn't feel good posting it.
Hey, I mean, but now you're now a living, breathing meme, right?
I thought I had already achieved that
Oh,
status
okay.
before this.
All right, so about the same time, there was the Barcode versus Tuskers. There was also WeForm Volta and the Castabouts, which I find interesting. I didn't realize Castabouts had made it this far into the tournament at this point, because Castabouts consist of individuals that have made a quasi-alliance out of necessity, really, because they are members of the Center for Advanced Studies, which is an NPC corporation. NPC corporations can't actually enter in the tournament, so they made the castabouts in order to facilitate that. So it's interesting. So they fought WeForm Volta. They did lose, but from what I understand, they've been flying amazingly thus far. I mean, clearly they're in week 3. What are your thoughts on those guys?
I think they've been great. I mean, Castabouts, I think everyone who's played Eve was them, if indicate at all. And they've always been there. So
Yeah.
sort of a cool team to cheer for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really consider them an underdog, really, because you're talking about some quality players who have just, they've went back into, they've left their corporations, they went into like a holding place where they're like, oh, let me just put them in Center for Advanced Studies. So we're not talking about bad players, we're not talking about newbies, we're talking about veterans of the game. So for them to form this alliance together and get this far is quite a feat, and that wasn't taken lightly, and I'm sure they practiced the shit out of it. So good for them. I hope to see them come back next year and do a little more damage.
Yeah, hopefully this finish encourages them to keep at it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna cruising through the bracket. So don't forget, if you go to pick'ems.evestats.space, you can do that little bracket. I'm not sure if it's even worth it to get it in at this point, but if you log in there with your Eve login, you can set your matches to who you think is going to win, and you have the possibility of winning Plex. So check that out if you haven't had interest in winning any Plex, but you can at least look at the entire bracket. It's pretty lengthy at this point. So we're looking at that was day 6, so that was day 5, which was Saturday, and then Sunday we're looking at Tuskers and Volta match, in which Tuskers, hello. I mean,
were practice partners.
Yeah.
I think they practiced, so they probably knew a lot of what the other team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're looking at Tuskers and NC. NC took that match, which moved them along to almost the final
against Try.
Yeah, against Try. So we're almost at the end of the road here. Uh, but
And NC just like it was just lulzy. What they chose to go with there. I mean, like what was it? Newt battleships, like plates. It was like I believe. So
okay.
there's or maybe I was wrong with that, but yeah.
I don't know if the Vangel comps like threw people for a loop or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I watched the fight. Eh.
I get that. That's kind of the sense overall of the tournaments. Listening to people in the Discord talk about it and reading it about it in different blogs. That this has been kind of meh.
I mean, I think that there's been some like really good matches and some like good piloting to be seen in many of the matches, but it's unfortunate that uh, Eve isn't really the most incredible spectator sport when it comes to being able to watch like kind of the intensity that goes on comms and then like with module management, especially with people flying Fragology. Like a lot of respect to those people. It's just I think it's just different, and I think a lot of people that play Eve don't really understand PvP to begin with, and then when you go with something to like the pinnacle of PvP, which is the AT, uh, trying to have the average player understand the meta of that, other than just watching health bars dip up and down.
Hmm.
What may or may not be going on in the field, because again, like coordinating a camera with what's really going on and all of that is really hard to do. I think that's what leads to a lot of people just going meh, you know,
Yeah.
while like a more seasoned like person watching the AT can like get really stoked watching some of the matches and like watching some of the ships moving around and like what's going on. I think that's one of the
Here,
biggest
here,
issues.
here's the other thing though. The AT, the way it works is it discourages people who are competitive in it from really discussing everything that's happening, because then you may lose your competitive edge, and then
Yep.
everyone else who's watching sort of it's hard for them to understand what's happening. Even if you've been on a competitive team and then you skip a year and then you start watching the next year, you may have no clue what's happening as far as like the real details of it. You may understand it broad perspective, but there are still those gaps. Just the way the AT is, it's really hard to get into. But for those who have gotten into it, it's really it's really quite something. It's not like anything else in Eve, and it's sort of the end game content for a lot of people. Because when you first PvP, there's a few hours of anticipation, and then because of that, you get that adrenaline high. But then with AT, it's like you've been preparing for months, and then it's that months of anticipation building up to the matches, even magnified that much more. If people haven't tried it, it's definitely worth something, worth at least giving it a shot. I don't know if there's
Oh, the
any.
shakes are real, dude. Like
Hmm.
Yeah,
the emotions that you get, like the emotions I felt, the roller coaster of, you know, especially the match where I fucking flew out of the boundary. Like it's difficult to get those emotions playing a video game, doing anything. And the AT is a conduit to do it. And honestly, I agree with Duncan 100%.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but I don't know if there's any group who's actually given it a shot that is that this is not really that cool, or hasn't come out saying that they liked it a lot, because it's very different from. It's sort of like an extension of Eve in some ways, as far as like getting that PvP high.
yeah.
It's like it's such a better high in my opinion. Like being on the grid in an AT match in a field like that. I don't know. It's way better. Like I like normal PvP in Eve TQ. I don't really get the shakes. I don't really get the high like I used to. But in the AT, oh my god, it still comes back. Comes back every time.
Hmm.
Listen to us, addicts.
Yeah.
Baby
So
shooting up.
my wife was kind of sitting here while I was putting the notes together the other day, and looking at some of the kills, and I showed her. I was like, "Hey, look at this one," and it was I'm pretty sure it was a flagship, but on Z Killboard, it shows what the equivalent dollar amount is in your money type, and it was a little over $1,000 equivalency, and my wife said, "I would fucking kill you if you did that." And I'm like, calm down. It's not real money, maybe. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about some serious effort, whether it's actually putting in real money, or uh, you know whatever you do in Eve to make money. I mean, you're talking about some serious scratch.
Oh yeah.
I think I think even beyond the ISK aspect, a huge part of it is, I mean, Eve is a very community-based game, and just showing in a tournament where it just, these are the rules, everyone has to, fit within this rule set. Being able to show that, you're better than everyone else is worth it alone for a lot of people. Like, I
Yeah.
think a lot of people who play in the tournament, they don't really need any of the ISK. It's about proving something to them.
Yeah, I think Moderator 2 years ago did a really good write up on if you took real cash dollar value of like everything that came out in the Alliance tournament, like how much it was actually worth, and it's actually astounding how much money is thrown around in Alliance tournament. Just to give like for viewers who don't know, so we got knocked out. My barcode got knocked out round. Let's see, let me scroll here. What round was it exactly?
Round 6.
In round 6, so not super deep into the tournament at all. And I know we took home probably around 350 to 400 bill purse, which easily covers all of our losses. Of course, there's a lot of man hours in practice that goes into that, but like there's a lot of money, a lot of money out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, like, pretty much at the end of the day, we're looking at who is going to be in the final matches this coming Saturday for the last day.
Well, I was going to be Hydra.
Oh,
Try.
It's going to be
Yep.
and Vidra or Vidra.
I go with Vidra. I like calling it Vidra,
Okay.
but I'm not an expert. But yeah, so Triumvirate, Hydra Reloaded, and Vidra Reloaded, which kind of brings us up into segues into what is Hydra versus Vidra? Who are these people, and why do they have such a similar sounding name? And they're all so good.
Duncan, your Genos royalties. Did you want to explain?
So I think people know who Hydra is. So I'll talk about Vidra first, and then if you have questions about Hydra, we can discuss that. So in AT14, Hydra wasn't participating. So a couple of the Russian members from Hydra, Nebula and EXO, were asked by Nika from Vidra if they wanted to join them, their run for the AT for AT14. Hydra wasn't doing anything. They said sure. And AT14 happened, and afterwards, Hydra decided to do AT15. And since Nebula and EXO had played with Vidra, they decided that Vidra would be a practice partner because they were fairly good pilots in the previous tournament. As far as where the name comes from, PL and Hydra fought in SCL 3, and I think one of the members was posting some memes on the Russian forums about how we were beating turtle setups, which are Tinker setups. So he posted an image of an otter eating a turtle, and otter sounds like Hydra in Russian, and so from that you get Hydra, and the guys from Afterlife were fans of Hydra, and so they named their alliance Vidra Reloaded. And that's the story of their name. As far as Hydra, I think Apothny wrote some articles about origin of Hydra, how we came to be. It was basically PL member Goblins left that alliance, flew with Genos for a bit, and then convinced Garmin to do the tournament. And not ever since, but for most of the tournament years, Hydra's put in a team and done fairly well. I think except for AT12, Hydra's finished top 2 in every tournament we've participated.
Yeah, I think ever since I've watched, I want to say it was 2014, I think, is when I really started watching the Alliance tournaments and kind of paying attention to who's who. And Hydra has always been the top dog. But one name I remember that I have not seen in a while is Camel Empire.
Right. So Camel Empire, after I think AT14
14.
yeah, and their members or their remaining active members are effectively merged into Hydra Reloaded. So,
Yeah.
Hydra Reloaded is formed of the remnants of the Old Hydra, Camel Empire, and some newer players who play with the active Hydra team.
Yeah, so this is kind of where it gets interesting because I didn't really dig too much into the details, but I seem to remember that there was an issue with, and that was AT14, where there was like that collusion, and I'm assuming it was Camel Empire, maybe it was another alliance that had to end up giving skins back or something like that and banned. Was that Camel?
Yeah, so in ET13 actually is when it
Okay,
happened.
okay,
So what happened was basically, I think it was a semifinal match. The two teams agreed to field specific setups and to hide their remaining setups, and that was against the rules. And it came out after the tournament, and then bans were handed out.
And all prizes were taken,
hmm
and
So they ended up.
removed.
This is like well after the tournament, but during the tournament, they beat everyone else, finished first, second, and then after things came out, and then everything was taken away, and then first, second, third, and fourth was redistributed amongst the teams that finished third to sixth, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely some drama llama that's happened there. But here we are, 2018. We've fast forwarded many years, but there was a little bit of issue. We were trying to get another person on this show. I'd never heard him before, but please correct me if I'm wrong. D8, is it DHB or DBH?
DHB Wildcat.
DHB Wildcat. So I'm hearing this is a pretty Yeah, so this is a pretty influential name, pretty big time in the Alliance tournaments, but there was some drama that may or may not have happened last year.
Yeah.
No, it was years before.
Every year,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah,
All the
every
years,
ago.
all of
I think
them?
years ago. So, like, the thing you need to understand with DHB is and this is painful for me to say coming from me, Chesser, that there's a man out there with an ego bigger than mine. But not only is it bigger than mine, but it's very easily bruised. So that's this general kind of like state. Maybe Duncan, you want to talk about what happened and why the drama has started from AT13 and moved forward.
Okay, sure. So
But just understand that's kind of like the psychological, like, try and put yourself in that mindset.
So Eve tournaments attract people who have been playing Eve for a long time, and generally the best players think highly of themselves. And that comes with an ego, and when you're running a tournament team, you end up a big part of it ends up being making sure that you're not stepping on other people's egos and managing your team. And I think DHB came with a lot of uniques, and he was part of the Hydra team for 3 years. He had a lot of conflicts with Kadesh at the time, and that just boiled over in the match that was prearranged with Camel. He, without telling anyone, he dropped a ton of ISK on the match. He ended up losing it all, and then between that and with what happened, not liking Kadesh, he decided afterwards that he was going to, I guess, blow the whistle on what happened, and then and then everything got taken away, and then he moved to another team. He actually just blocked everyone immediately after, and no one's been able to really contact him. I thought this would have been an opportunity to chat, but I guess not. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, so he now does NC dot or is in NC dot. I think he originally was trying to get into PL, but PL wisely wouldn't trust someone who is willing to just I don't know, turncoat on like teams. It's his trustworthiness is definitely called into question. So he's been going with NC, and NC's been doing pretty well in all of the tournaments. This year they're knocked out by Tri. But yeah, DHB basically needed to go to a place where he could be the quote number one, the head man in charge, and he didn't have really the technical know-how or the skills to back up his desire inside of Hydra. So I think he left then to go find a place where he could be the queen bee, if you will.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've you definitely notice in Eve Online. You see it in r/Eve Reddit. You see it in game. You see it in blogs and Twitter and all that. People take this game sometimes maybe a wee bit too seriously. I've always kind of been on the mantra of, you know, what a person does in game and who they are in real life is completely different. Take for instance the judge earlier this year, actually last year now. It's almost been a year since that whole flip where he betrayed CO2, but we've had him back on Mind Clash several times since then. I know that he was kind of timid because he thought I hated him and I was an asshole, which I am an asshole, but I don't hate him um, because I was in CO2 at the time. But I mean, it's a game, and if you're going to tell me that you can't sit here and talk mano a mano about video games is beyond me. But hopefully, Wildcat comes. Maybe we'll have him on next week or maybe another time, because it's always interesting to get both sides of the stories. We've never been that podcast where uh, we are pro goon or pro test, or we're just like banging on one side or the other. We're an equal opportunity haters. So please, come
I
on,
kind of
join
wanted
us.
him to be on because I didn't want to, misrepresent him and not have him have the opportunity to respond to say what he thought or his side of things are. I'm sure
Yeah.
he views things very differently, right? But
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure he has a very like. I'm not going to say anything more about DHB because, like, again, he isn't here to join the conversation. But I will say for those of us or for those of you that are watching, there was some more drama that came out this year regarding DHB.
oh
Him
yeah,
making him making this, and I'm just going to use the word insane because I don't know what other adjective I can use to describe uh, this post that he made coming forward saying he's dropping off like something something the NC dot team because of some apparent collusion, not collusion that occurred. Like he was either memeing, possibly, or he was just finding or trying to find another route with which to like stroke his ego to become more of a center of attention. I'm not sure what it was, but it made no sense, like at all.
so so I recently found out something about that where this Camel Empire member who hasn't been in tournaments since Alliance Tournament 12, as far as I know, uh, has been emailing him every year around tournament time, sending him trolls or something. And then I guess he bit today or this year, and I guess decided to post on Evo just in case. But like Hydra had no idea what was going on and what he was talking about. Yeah, it didn't come from Hydra at all. But I guess he was convinced that it did.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it speaks just a lot about the situation that goes on is like, you know, I think that most people, I'm not involved really I wasn't involved with the Hydra tournament team at all this year. But that Hydra goes on to continue to basically just keep crushing on the AT lands, and DHB is still stuck back 3 years ago, like worried about, worried about this random shit.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be better off if you had a memory like mine where I can't remember what I did last week, so who cares?
That's true. But like Duncan was describing earlier, the AT is everything to some people,
Mm-hmm.
and the weapons grade autism that you can find in Eve Online, from all of us, especially participating in the fake online online tournament to go with it, like emotions run really high, and when you invest a lot and you have a lot of emotional investment into something, you care about it, and it will affect you.
Yeah, so,
I think.
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I think he's been around for a long. He's made some cool videos. He's been, his goal in Eve, I think, to win the tournament. He's been part of the tournament longer than any of us, I think, before. So he's been around for a really long. He hasn't quite achieved that first place, unfortunately. It's cool to have, I guess, these different personalities in the game. It adds color.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly met people of all different personalities. I mean, yeah, if you've ever talked to a guy like King Voodoo, who's just over the top and aggressive, but you can tell he's just having fun. And then you've got those very methodical people who, I always think of like that Leroy Jenkins incident where you have those guys. All right, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here and I've done this math here where you're gonna take them from the right side, and you've got those guys, and you've got guys like Lucian James who would absolutely jump through the screen to put your dick in his face if he could do it. But there's so many different personalities, and that's one of the things that's kept me going. But so one of the questions though that I've asked people over the past few weeks, and I'll ask you guys, what is it about the Alliance tournament? Like at the end of the day, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter to you guys, and what do you think it matters to the continuance of the game?
Do you want to go first, Duncan, or should I?
I go first.
All right. Back when I had a lot more time to dedicate to Eve, I've always played Eve in like a way that the average player doesn't play the game, because I don't give a shit about big fights and I think they're boring as fuck and fuck the politics and whatever. So like when it came to being good at PvP, it was always the AT for me. It was always the AT or bust. And like the shakes that we had been talking about earlier came to me totally new waves while flying for AT, and I just kind of chased it for a while. And then it got to a point where I was a practice partner a lot, and then I started flying in actual matches, and then I ended up doing commentary because my I had to make like decisions regarding, do I want to fly in matches, or do I want to maybe get a free trip to Iceland and whatever. So I kind of took a different turn from the AT, just being around the spectacle of it all. But I don't think it does anything for the game, because like I think we were talking about earlier, it's unfortunate that more production power, more money. I know it's unrealistic, but hypothetically, that more money couldn't be funneled into the AT, because if it could be, the esport potential, or just viewership potential, is massively increased when you can see module management positioning from like Logis, or other like really really like high intensity APM ships like Curses. And then of course just the communication and everything that goes along into those fights with all those guys controlling all of that is a huge deal. You watch like MOBAs, lots of MOBAs, that's only 5 dudes. Well, we have 12 on one team and things going on. Like, it's a lot. And that's just impressive. I think it's really cool. It's unfortunate that it's never been really wielded by CCP as a marketing tool like big battles have. And I think Eve has lost out on a lot of potential in the gaming community that could have maybe enjoyed Eve if they would have been shown a side of Eve that isn't just, join this huge null sex corporation or alliance and, blah, blah, blah. Or here, go do some backstabbing after waiting 3 years to get into this alliance doing, God knows what. But instead, like, here you are out in your small group doing some PvP. Like, that was never really pounced on with Eve marketing, which is unfortunate. But I guess I think I went kind of off the beaten path here with my conversation, so I'll throw it over to Duncan. But I think that's kind of like what the AT is for me. Like, that's it.
I
Nice.
think Chester's covered a lot of it. It's basically like the biggest stage where you can prove yourself as a small group the best, from not only piloting but also theory crafting and everything else that comes with flying. There is no greater adrenaline. That's the reason.
Yeah, dude, the AT high is real.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same thing with the AT depression, because let me tell you, I am just absolutely scarfing down the SSRIs over here trying to get out of my depression. That's what I did. It's pretty bad.
You kind of hit on a little bit about the new MOBAs and how that's kind of taken over the scene as far as esports, which makes me think of the Theomachy that I know so far. I've known about two of them. I participated in the most recent one, which is basically like everyone versus everyone. You're talking about a last man standing, hundreds of people thrown in there. I felt that was more interesting, at least for me to participate in, and I enjoyed watching it, and just seeing how engaging that was. Do you think that might be something that CCP should look into in the future as far as events goes? Because I enjoyed that. I had fun with that.
I think that CCP has, for the most part, like I don't want to sound too defeatist because I love this game, honestly. I love the shit out of it. And I really think that it is the best game ever made. But unfortunately, I think that CCP's kind of given up on Eve. And I say that because the player population is just slowly trickling down. They're unable to keep new players. There's no massive gameplay changes that have really gone on with this game. I mean, it's a very old style of game, and MMOs are dying in lieu of other types of games. Um, so what they're doing instead, and this is exactly what happened on Eve Valkyrie, where they come up with these patches, which are essentially just a shuffling around of known game mechanics, very little added that's new. Like I don't really count the abyssal sites because it's single player and it's just like three little rooms you go into with just known war game mechanics. And like, I mean, they're cool, it's good, but like it's not mind blowing like wormholes or like apocrypha. Uh, anyway, but what I mean is it just smells and feels like a cash grab with all of
Yeah.
these new skins, all of these new like things that you can buy, these new microtransaction stores, and like that's fine because I mean if it's more profitable then sure, great. But what that is doing is just milking whales or just milking community. It's not really making a good game. So what you see CCP doing instead is trying to diversify, which is intelligent, but uh, every single one of their attempts to diversify other than Gunjack have ended in complete failure. And
Hmm.
now, come in October with the release of Project Nova, which I did get to play, which is pretty cool for a first person shooter. Let me just ask you with a straight face, how many first person shooters have been made in the world by companies that have more experience and a bigger budget than CCP? There are more than 10. There are more than a dozen, right? So in my mind, you look at a game of a game like an MMO game like Eve, and then you're making an FPS game to go with that. So what market are you going to hope to capture here? Is it going to be better than CS:GO? Probably not. So like I don't know why all of this development time is being wasted on a new game. That's why Eve is stagnant. Like before that, there was World of Darkness. There was the VR titles. There was you know all of these things. So you wonder like what is going on really, you know what I mean? There's so many questions.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. I've kind of been in that lull lately where I've found it hard to log in because, back in 2013 when I came back to Eve, I made an account 2006, but I really couldn't get into it. I couldn't understand it. But 2013, BTAC-R, you're seeing all this stuff go down. Millions of, or billions of ISK worth of ships lost. You're like, oh man, I got to get in this. It's making CNN type headlines. To fast forward now, where I'm like, Jesus H Christ, if I have to sit through another 1% tie dye cat brawl, I'm gonna fucking murder myself.
I think
It's
as long as Eve gives the players the ability to create engaging storyline.
but I don't think we are right now. I think we're just rehashing the same old thing just because it's what we do.
Sure. So then I think what CCP should focus on the players' storyline.
Yeah.
So that if I don't have the solution, and it seems like they've just been trying different things. What you guys have been saying.
Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, and I've just been saying I think I've been saying this for a long time, but like it's really the players that have killed Eve, not necessarily CCP or the game. It's the type of player that Eve marketing and the metagame and what Eve has evolved to has attracted, and that is what has killed Eve. When you're looking at these huge like AFK riding empires, uh, you know, or mining empires where just like counting your dank ticks and then you just cruise around with your super cap umbrella, like that type of playstyle is heavy metagame style where you have like leaders of entire coalitions that have completely expanded into like a gaming empire in a sense, in essence. In some cases it just boils down to a few smart people that can corral enough nerds together to then make money off of them, either in game or out of game. And that's kind of what has happened. And it's unfortunate.
You've always needed the leaders to, push people and create those storylines and create that conflict. I mean, otherwise, I don't know what do people play Eve for currently. Like, are they just ratting for what?
Exactly. Ratting for what? Gotta make your fake wallet look bigger, or I'm not sure. But like it's crazy. Or paying for Plex possibly. A lot of people like don't want to pay $10 or $15 for their monthly
Yeah,
subscription. So
okay, and
I
that's
guess
great.
ratting for Plex, but that shouldn't take too long.
But
Uh,
then to
but
what end, right?
yeah, exactly. But to what end? Like there's no personal story being played out by many of these people. I think I've written a few not blog posts, but Reddit posts on this where there are so few people, so few content creators playing Eve nowadays, um, that the game is starved for content. And
Hmm.
one of the most egregious things that I hear repeated, it's just a fucking platitude at this point on Reddit, which I think Eve Reddit has probably done more to hurt the game than anything. But
You right.
the fucking biggest platitude I hear is join a new bro corporation. And it's so sad because then you have these new players who are provided an infrastructure by people in the game who can do it better than CCP to get them to keep logging in and playing. But they have taken the impetus is taken away from them. Where unless the FC says get in the ship and do this, I'm just going to stay docked. And that's what happens. You come up with these big coalitions that have only a handful of FCs that are like, if they're not doing anything, nothing's going on. They get burnout because they're the only ones doing anything, or they're the ones multi-boxing scouts and all this other shit to take care of shit. Like, you know, eh, that's a problem. That's a
This
problem.
this this isn't exclusive to large corps either. I
Oh,
mean, small gangs as well. You people turn their brains off. You know, when if there's an FC who's in control and telling everyone what to do, even
that's
if
true.
you're a five-man group, you're just paying attention and doing what you're told.
That's true. That can happen a lot of in a lot of situations too, and it's a good point to bring that up. But it's also another great point, I think, to bring up the fact that there are so many activities in Eve that people want to be able to do AFK in 100% safety.
Hmm.
Just to give you an idea, like people just don't want to play the game really. Like it's gotten to a point where if you enter certain spaces in nullsec, there's a bot that tells every single person that's online in that entire region of space that you've entered local, and then they can just click dock up, or the bot just docks up. Like it's, you know what I mean?
You know, I think for me, like, I like to have an end state. I like to play a game where I see clear progression. I understand the storyline. I see movement. I know that what I'm doing is affecting change, and then eventually, and not always, you know, you get to that the boss, or you've reached the denouement of the game, and the pinnacle that it brings. Whereas Eve, like you said, you really can't do anything without a bot being there, without a gang being there,
I mean,
and now without a super cap fleet being there.
I think in that comment in particular, that's the fact that there is no quote quote end game is what makes it great.
Hmm.
And end game is different for every single person, but I think that every single person doesn't dream big enough, and they're okay with, or they're content with mediocrity, where they quote they play Eve just to chill out. So you play Eve to mine roids in your rogue wall while you watch, you know, The Office on Netflix for the 10th time on
Well,
your video stream.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think for the majority of people who have been playing Eve Online for the past 10 to 15 years have already reached that end game and created an environment where it's impossible for any new players or incoming players to even start the journey because they're immediately thrown into, hey, if you want to do anything in this game, you're going to join these alliances and you're going to make ISK for us and you're going to fight in our big battles at the end, while I sit here and rake in billions of billion ISK and I go play in the alliance tournaments, etc. You know, so those lower guys, they'll never experience the I guess
I
the history of the game.
So,
I oh sorry, go ahead,
so
Duncan.
this is all really depressing to listen to. But
Yeah, I first of all I
I'm
disagree.
drinking I'm drinking whiskey right now, so I'm getting a little depressed.
at the end of the day, all these people are still here. They're still so passionate about this game. They're always posting. You know, I mean, they're here for a reason, right? What is that?
The potential, baby. Eve is the best game potentially.
Maybe.
No, but I
I
think
mean,
that sorry, go ahead, Duncan.
well, I mean, just for all the bitching, right? There is still something. Maybe it's really hard to quantify or identify, but
It's this nebulous
I,
fog. But
yeah,
I think that the new player getting into something like a small gang or eventually AT, that is not difficult, and I don't think it's gone. I just think that there are obstacles in their way, but people that are going to make it in small gang and they're going to make it in the AT aren't going to be really distracted by those obstacles in the first place. I mean, it really sucks because it really like whittles down who kind of gets involved in it, but yeah.
Speaking of, being the prince of Reddit over there, I don't know if you might have seen it. I think it was yesterday or today. It might have been somebody who was fairly new said, what I don't understand. What is it? Why do you guys keep playing this game? And there were so many comments about, it's Stockholm syndrome and things of that nature. Sometimes it couldn't have rang more true.
I mean, it just goes down to the sunk cost fallacy. The more
Yep, that's it.
you put into something, the less likely you are to pull out of it. Yeah.
I think part of it is the communities that are created and
Yeah,
just keeps you engaged.
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I love this game. I like playing. I like all the things that I can do in the game, and I really hope that in the coming months and by the end of this year that we have. I don't want to say a Jesus feature, but I want to see something different that just completely changes the way that we do things.
I don't like hope. Hope gives you false feelings.
No hope here.
No, but I'm also the bad person to talk to because I'm the one that blew our team's run. All that hard work gone.
Yeah, what an a-hole.
There you go. Oh, it feels bad.
All right. Well, so I mean that's pretty much a little bit of AT history in a nutshell. Kind of segued into being depressed about I don't know how that happened, but it did. But we'll start kind of wrapping it up at just a little bit. So from time to time, I like to point out some things that are happening. I think last week I might have shared it at least on our Discord, but I want to share this Eve University classes starting Wednesday, the 15th of August. So that would be tomorrow, 0000, so midnight Eve time. You're looking at an introduction to fleets. 1900 that same day, you're looking at introduction to missions. Come learn the basics of running missions. Thursday, the 16th of August, 1900, an introduction to exploration. Come learn the basics of exploration. And 2330, it's a lecture, Eve Appreciation Social. So I guess we're going to be talking about some of what we're talking about right now, why we love this game so much and the social aspects of it. So if you want to find out more information of that, check out Eve University. You can go to their website. I think it's like wiki.e or eveuniversity.org, I want to say. But yeah, so go check them out. You can join them. They're free open fleets and classes that you can go to and take part of. So if you got nothing going on tomorrow and you don't know about Eve, which I hope you do, thank you Nook for the follow. But yeah, so we'll start rolling into a little bit of shout outs. Let's see who's first. Chester, you're at the top of the list. So real quick, if you want to, quick little shout out to your group, your core, someone special that you like, or maybe you want to beat up. I don't know.
All right. I give a shout out to Barcode for putting up with me and not burning me at the stake after what happened.
Beautiful. Duncan, do you have any last minute thoughts or shout outs?
Shout out to Hydra. Good luck in the
Hell Hydra.
Good luck this year. I hope you reach your goal. The first place.
All right. And before I do my shoutouts, I do want to quickly hit up Eve Meet. So if you want to point your browsers to evemeet.net, if you don't know about what these Eve meetups are, you should check evemeet.net out. This coming Saturday, that'd be the 18th. It's the last day of the Alliance tournaments, and there's quite a few tournaments going around. Or tournament viewing parties. So we have San Diego, they're having one in Poway. The second annual pub crawl for the Alliance tournament in Denver, Colorado. as well. I know there's also the eventee like proper in Nottingham, so they're doing that as well. So they're gonna have a viewing party. You can go watch the AT finals as well as hang out with some friends that you might know. Then yeah, just go check them out. There's plenty of events, and if there's not an event near you, there's a little button. If you go top left, go over 1, 2, 3, 4 menu items. It says create. You can create your own little event and invite people in your area to hang out with you. Other than that, my shoutouts. I guess my shout out goes to Jameson whiskey.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, if you haven't had the stout barrel aged one, oh, it's perfect. So delicious. But yeah, so I really appreciate you guys coming on, talking to me. I know we kind of had to push the show from yesterday to today, but I wanted to ensure that we actually had guests who could come on and talk about some of the history of the Alliance tournaments and some of the teams involved, because otherwise it would have been just me talking to myself, and that would have been not fun.
Thanks for the invite, fam.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you guys are always welcome. We do this every week. So, from myself, Chester and Duncan, we really appreciate you joining us for this week's episode of the Mind Clash podcast, and we will catch you all next time for episode 99. Have a good evening.